Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fertility Village Live. It's Erin here. I'm with Marissa tonight, my co-host, and we are having a few technical difficulties tonight. We're having an issue going live on Instagram, so Marissa's going to take a couple minutes and go onto Instagram and show everybody where to go to watch us live tonight on YouTube or Facebook. Hopefully you're joining us from there. If you are, then welcome to the live. We are so excited tonight to welcome Ashley and Kevin Porter. Welcome, you guys. Thanks so much for joining us here. This week, we are sharing about their amazing story. We're honored to welcome you guys. And you have graciously agreed to share your journey with us. And their story involves a lot of courage, a lot of love, obviously, with every fertility story that we tell, and double donor conception. So we're incredibly grateful that you guys are here. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
No problem.
We got the chance to see you guys at the Fertility Matters brunch on Fertility Awareness Week. It was great to see you there at the brunch and meet you. So we thought, why not have you guys on the live to tell your story to an even bigger audience? So we'll ask you to start by just introducing yourselves and sharing a little bit about your fertility journey for us tonight.
Sounds good.
Okay.
You or me?
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Porter. I am a registered nurse by background, and I don't know if that was a burden or a blessing by virtue of this journey that we went on. Kevin's also in healthcare, but I'll let him speak to that. And I think it helped inform us, but when you also know too much, it can be something that weighs and plays on your mind even more so with every step of the way. We are obviously now parents, so we have a 10-month-old at home, so we're navigating that. And what else do I like to do in my downtime? You know, we train, we like to travel, hang out with friends, very family oriented individual, and just trying to withstand the summer heat at the current moment. So
Aren't we all? I'm just like fanning too.
Right?
It's been
a summer glow.
A wild end to June this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my name's Kevin Porter. I'm 49. I work as a professional firefighter in Brampton, and I work as a paramedic in York region and in Peel region. My hobbies are I play hockey. I played semi-pro hockey before a couple of years. The gym, I love weight training. I practice Muay Thai. We're always at the gym training, doing something physical between the two of us. So super, super active. I would say my life is full of I don't know, high energy, high octane.
And chaos, literally.
Yeah. To be honest,
he's like a Tassie devil.
Yeah, like seriously, and I'll just lay this out here. You know, I had a crazy upbringing, childhood. I grew up in Kitchener. My parents were separated when I was 8 years old. My Nana, my mom's mom, she died at 66 when I was 16, and my mom died a few months later from a traumatic accident. Wow. So, you know, I'm just laying it out there, and I found like the fertility journey. I went through so much as a kid leading up to the fertility journey, and see so much loss and, you know, chaos at my jobs. For me, it was probably a little less challenging to navigate through than maybe Ash, because I'm scarred.
He had more tools.
Yeah.
You know, from
right, coping skills and whatnot. Sure.
Yeah, like you can just like flick a switch quick, right? So that was a bit of a blessing going through this. But I mean, you know, would I do it all again to have my daughter? 100%. I think we're both
in agreement.
Yeah. I wouldn't change a thing. So.
Yeah. Wow.
Is that what you want to know, or you want to know more?
Yeah, I want to know more. So how did you guys meet? How long have you been together? And when did you first start to suspect that getting pregnant might need a little bit of extra support?
Yeah. So the thing that no one in healthcare wants to admit is, yes, we met at work. And I worked in Emerge, so I'm an Emerge.
I'm picturing like Grey's Anatomy, you know, God. Like fireman comes and then you guys, you know, I've totally seen that episode. Okay.
Which makes me want to like puke in my mouth a little bit.
No!
But yes, I'm that girl, right? So every August, and I don't know if I'm telling here, obviously I won't name the organization, but every August, said organization had a boat cruise. And that's where we initially sort of started chatting. And then I started noticing doors were being held open for me. He'd show up as a paramedic. And all of a sudden he's showing up to give me report and. So I'm like, okay, I'll give this guy a first date. He can pay for a free meal, whatever. You know, and I've never been more wrong about an individual, right? So anyway, the rest is history. Got married a little later, not so later for this generation sort of age, but I was 31 and you were 38. I wanted to finish. I was doing my master's. I was, you know, moving through some of the ranks at work. Once we got married, you know, you stop the pill as you do, and let's just see what happens. I have I'm the oldest of three, so have two younger siblings. My sister was married before us.
Yeah.
And they fell pregnant, and you know, as I mentioned before, really close family, always wanted to have my kids grow up with my sister's kids and my cousins. My cousins are like my extended sisters. So they're all, you know, in this realm of motherhood, and I'm jonesing and chomping at the bit to have my littles grow up with their littles. And it wasn't happening. And I think that's when we decided, after I think it was about a year, to seek help, to see what was going on. And I think it's one of those things, again, as a healthcare provider, where all the bad things happen to the healthcare providers. It just by virtue of being in the profession does. All the weird labor stories, the bizarre medical mysteries, guaranteed the person will be a healthcare provider because the worst stuff just comes our way. So started off at our first of 3 clinics, went through all of the investigations. And that was 2016, I believe.
Seems like yesterday.
It does. It does. Like standing in the parking lot, receiving some of the worst news of our lives, you know, watching planes go overhead. It was literally like time had stopped in those moments. And now fast forward, and for us to sit here and tell you we have a daughter, like I brought Kleenex because I feel like we're both coming to terms with the fact that she's here and she's ours and we don't have to give her back. And she's just this little pit of joy, like literally the happiest baby to be here ever. If you were at the event, you would have seen her. We're waiting for the other shoe to drop, you know? So
I get it. I think
it was tough because like 2 of the times we did transfers and they failed, we'd find out, and it just happened to be because I work quite a lot. So does Ash. She'd be at work. She'd go for blood tests in the morning. I'd be working ambulance. And then it would be like, oh, okay, by 12 o'clock, it'll either be like a happy phone call or like a sad phone call, right? And then she'd call or I'd call. I remember one of the times it was like obviously a no-go.
It was the first one. I was at a Christmas party.
Yeah. And like 10 minutes later, now I'm going to a call in the ambulance for a miscarriage. And I'm like, really? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I just found out that, you know, our little guy or girl didn't take, and now I'm going to help someone else. Like, it was just, this is my job. It's like, what did you expect, Kev? But it's like, you know, so all the while we're still dealing with those things. And then, you know, Ash being in the hospital and seeing people leave the hospital with babies and me seeing and then it's just like, after a while, you're just like, it's, you know, you just keep on keeping on, but it's like, it's frustrating because you're all around it. And then I delivered babies like while we were doing this, and, you know, had miscarriages and stillborns, and she would see stuff in the hospital. And it's just like, you know, but it's like anything. You either want to do something or you don't, and you'll go all in and do it, or you'll just like, you know, it'll cease to exist. So there was kind of no options. It was just no excuses, just results. Like, go get this done. Right. So
it's so heartbreaking. I think so many people can relate to your story because, like, no matter where you are on a fertility journey, like, life keeps lifing. People keep getting pregnant. People keep losing babies. Like, all your sister. I mean, I could relate actually so much to your story. Like, I wanted to raise my kids with my one child that I was fortunate enough to get after our 10-year journey with my sister's kids, and we started trying at the same time. And her child was 11 when I had my baby, and so it's like this. Just, you know, it's just so unpredictable when you get on this journey. And you just see, yeah, like I'm grateful you guys got up to a happy ending. That's amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you. The other thing I'll just add while I'm thinking of it is I think the other piece too that I know I really had to unlearn was to let go of control, which
Oh
was
yeah.
really hard when you, especially in Emerge, which is basically the Wild West. I used to love going into the chaos and fixing it, but you had 12 hours to get it right, and
Yeah.
no matter what I did with respect to this, and I wasn't in Emerge for the majority of it, I was actually sort of in an administrative position. No matter what I did, I controlled as much as I could control, and it felt like I was holding a cracked vase. I had to let go at some point and just somehow trust, but also knowing that as healthcare providers, we bleep up too, and we bleep up more often than I think people realize. And I think that fear drove me a lot through this journey and created a lot more anxiety for me than I think I ever anticipated. So yeah, but anyway, I did let go. Eventually, it took years.
It happens. It does. You
It's
have
so
to.
hard.
There's no choice.
And I know
right?
that like we're human at the end of the day, right? Like there's no ill will to the healthcare provider world at all. We're humans, we're not robots. So by virtue of that, we are flawed. But I think because of what we knew again, it's like, are you sure you checked the lab test result? And are you sure that you checked? Like I felt like that person who kept going back, double checking and asking, and trying to do it in the nicest way possible so that I wasn't that annoying patient. Because now I'm worried about being labeled a certain way,
It's just more or less advocating for yourself.
Exactly.
And you're also, what a lot of people, and there's some countries where they don't have to worry about this, but you're spending a boatload of money.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
When you're spending that much money, and thank God we had a great support system behind us, with us always. They're out with our daughter right now. You want to get your money's worth, and you want to make sure that everything is. And I mean, she's like a scientist. This one, like, she would just analyze and look at everything, and I'm like, just start a clinic.
There's one in every relationship.
Let's start a clinic and make their money back, right?
Yeah.
I say jokingly, like in Germany, for example, I have a friend in the hockey world. His friends in Germany, they don't pay a penny.
Wow.
Everything's covered. A to Z, nothing. Don't pay for drugs. Don't pay for consults. Don't pay for the procedures. Zero. Here
I'm just gonna
you get one
hope for that day here.
Yeah,
I know.
Like,
We're gonna keep advocating. We're gonna keep advocating. We're gonna keep hoping that Canada gets to that point, because
it's getting better. It is getting better.
That's a whole other podcast.
I know.
Yeah. Totally.
For sure. Okay, so I'm back. So it's time for me to ask the next question. So in your first appointments, recall your early appointments. You touched on it a little bit, but where you're basically sitting there and they're giving you the news of, you might need a donor. You might not be able to do this. We have to try different protocols. What were those moments and those appointments like for you guys? What can you recall? Just what can you recall in those moments?
I think for me, because it wasn't, those memes where it says this is life and it's the straight line, and then there's like the roller coaster with the dipsy doos and the top, like that literally was 9 years of our life. Our oldest nephew's 9, so that's how I know how long it took. Yeah. I think the first a few appointments where we learned that there was male factor, I felt like I had an out of body experience. Like I felt like Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. Someone's chatting to you and I'm hearing what they're saying, but I'm not really processing, and then trying to figure out again, because I'm a problem solver. Okay, how do we fix this? And how do we get to the next step? And now what are we going to have to do? Yeah. But I don't know for you.
Like for me, with my background, like I alluded to first off in the podcast and everything I've been through, I think I was able just to like turn it on and turn it off, like just shut it on and shut it off. And I have a lot of outlets in my life, like exercise wise, and a lot of other projects and things that I'm working on, that I'm like, okay, like, yeah, we're trying to do this, but I still need to focus on everything else, because you can't let it kill you. You can't let it slow down all the other aspects of your life. Like, I have a marriage that we have to,
Maintain.
like, what's the right
Play
word?
marriage.
Like, what's the word? Like, like
Maintain. Work at.
like, we have a life together, right?
Yeah.
So, and we have careers, we have
Goals and
a bunch of things, and
yeah.
we have doing lots of stuff. So I'm like, I can't let all that go, because like, what am I going to do? Let all that stuff just like die off in vain because I'm sad about what I'm going through? Like, there's people that are way worse off in the world. So I'm like, I was at an age where I'm like, I was starting to accept, like, well, if I don't have a kid, I still have all these other amazing things. Like, life is great. There's some people that just can't have kids no matter what. Right. So we had even started to talk about adoption a little bit. Right. And what that might look like.
Well,
we weren't right really to accept that, but like, it was talked about.
Yeah, we put all the chips on the table, right?
Yeah.
So we also, and I'm a huge advocate for therapy, and I think that as an adjunct is still a big gap in the fertility world. Like, I think it's, here's your meds, here's your appointments, the end. Well, no, I think it should also be, hey, Ashley, here, your transfer blood results were negative. We're going to have you speak to our social worker. Can you stay on the line? Right. So for one of our transfers, just stay with me because I will come back around here. But I was sitting on the top floor of a parking garage at work. I had just driven from one site to the other to prep for a major meeting. Okay. I knew I could get the result that no one ever wanted to get. And I thought, you know what, like Kev, he can compartmentalize better than me, but I was learning. No matter what news I get, I still have this meeting that I have to go into, and I lost it. And I'm sitting in my car by myself, and it's like 5 p.m. and I'm about to walk into this meeting. And how do I pick myself up and not make my eyes look bloodshot red or have the mascara running down my face from the most devastating news that anyone could receive from a fertility clinic, right? And then click, the phone hangs up. And I often reflect back that how awful must it be for those nurses that have to deliver that news at the end of their shift too, right? Like, as a nurse myself, that would be a pretty crappy thing to have to do. But then what? You go into the abyss, right? Like, I could have jumped off the top floor of the parking garage, right? I could have, had other plans on the run. And the fertility clinic, not that they're responsible for my soul being by any means, but no one would have been the wiser, right? So what supports are being put in place to then help carry me? And eventually, years later, I'm a pretty resilient person. I've seen a lot like Kev at work. Everything I was doing to try and support myself and keep my head above water started to fail, to the point where I actually had to put my hand up and say, I need meds. Like,
Good for you.
I need a low dose of something. But even that was so hard because my family physician then asked me questions like, are you sure? Or like, are you sure you're sure that you're that sad? And let's ask you all of these questions. And then I'm doubting myself, right? Like gaslighting myself, basically.
Yeah.
I just needed something to take the edge off. Like, I don't care if I'm numb. I need to be able to function, and I just want to not feel this way. Just for a little while, right? So
totally.
It's bleh.
Oh, Ashley, your story is so relatable, especially personally. Like, I mean, I wasn't brave enough to take that step, and I know looking back on my journey, I should have. It would have been the best thing for my relationship and for me to do that. So thank you for talking about that, because I think it's something that so many men and women who go on this journey, they think, I'm just sad because of infertility. I'm just sad because this isn't working, and I might never become a mom. And like, I remember days thinking like, if this doesn't work, I'm going to die. And like, that is not that thought. It's okay. But like, that should trigger a reaction of, okay, maybe you should talk to somebody about this. And you're right. Like, the system's a little broken in that there's not correct supports in place. At Oasis, we're trying to change that. That's why we have support groups. That's why we're building a psychoeducation program for patients and for clinics, so that we can learn how to deliver this news. We can learn how to talk about like the emotional and psychological impacts of infertility on a relationship, on a person, on a family, all of those things. So it's coming. It is coming.
And I will say
yeah.
for anyone listening, like, just trigger warning, because these are some of my deepest, darkest thoughts, and I'm okay sharing them now. But I remember thinking one morning, like, if I drive into oncoming traffic, like, what will happen? I was not having suicidal ideation. That was not the case at all. That is just how at the end of my rope I was.
Yeah.
And that was my trigger warning. And it took Kev saying to me, like, I've done everything that I can to support you. You actually need to support you. And I think that's the louder message, is no one is come in the nicest way possible. No one is coming to save you. Okay. We're not like damsels in distress. You have to pull yourself out of the muck. You have to be your own hero, because no one else is going to do it for you. And the same with, we were in therapy from very early on as well, for those that can afford it. Because again, that's stupid expensive.
There's a barrier.
It takes
there is a barrier,
right?
But you look at the girl. So for example, I'll just jump in quick. And like I always say, there's always someone who's a little worse off, no matter how bad you think your sad story is. When we were on the panel there in Toronto, the girl to my left, and I forget her name, I'm sorry.
She's right there.
Oh,
That's me. That was me, Kevin.
She's right.
Come on, man.
Just
Marissa.
You had an impact.
Yeah.
Listen, it's all good.
It was you.
It was me. Yeah. Hey.
I mean, extreme close up.
Yeah.
You know,
but it's perspective.
When I heard your story, I
I love this moment so much.
right? Like honestly, and I'm like sitting there going like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, piece of cake, right? Like easy. I mean, we went to California 3 times for the IVF stuff. And I said to Ash, I go, okay, we're going to California. Like, let's turn this into an adventure. Let's go have fun as well.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Disney World once. That was fun.
Someone passed out on Space
I
Mountain.
passed out on one of the
Oh,
rides.
wow. Good thing there was a firefighter paramedic on there.
Right? So
always working.
You know, I said, we're going to these lengths. Let's try to have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Because why not? Like, why? We had a choice. Like, the doctor was working in New York City or LA, and I'm like, we're gonna go to Los Angeles and hang out and like be in LA. And the one time we were there for like 10 days, it was like awesome. The one day they were, oh, you don't have to go to the clinic for 4 days. We had 4 days. I went to visit a friend. We went to visit a family friend down on the beach. You know, it's like, so we tried to turn it into like a positive experience as well. And I mean,
which is so hard to do when you're in the depths of it,
so
right?
hard.
But I think that's why it's so important to talk about this, so that other people feel less shame, be less alone, and see less vulnerable, right? So perspective 100%.
Yeah, wow. Well, we are celebrating. Oh, sorry, am I delayed again?
All good. Go ahead.
Okay. We are celebrating Male Factor Infertility Month in June. And so we did want to take a minute to have a quick focus on, Kev, on your journey. And if you are open to sharing with us what led to the diagnosis of male factor infertility. And just an FYI, that was our journey as well, me and my partner. So we can really relate to your journey. And Ashley, just you saying, like, it was like, you know, you had this out of body experience and you're getting that news delivered, because you're like, this strong hunk of a man has no sperm. Like, what the heck? Like, it makes no sense. That was like me. I was like, what on earth? And I just like, we drove separately to that appointment. I remember getting in my car, and that's just, I just like cried my eyes out and bashed my steering wheel. Like, what the hell? Like, this doesn't make any sense. How is this happening? Anyways, that's my story. I'd love to hear, Kev, how you, and for both of you even, like, would you be open to sharing what led to the diagnosis? Yeah.
Well, I think it was just after, you know, failed attempts and things just not working out. It was like, okay, let's do some tests and run some tests. And, you know, you have sperm, but they're slow swimmers or they're older or whatever, because let's remember, we also tried to do this at a little bit of an older age. I'm a worker now, working, you know, 3 911 jobs for 23 years, exposed to all kinds of crud, you know, sleep patterns all over, cortisol, like the list goes on and on, right? So 1,000 things it could be. we ended up doing a micro TC, which is an operation where they cut
Yeah.
into your, and take a look to see if they could repair anything or
get it. It was even
fix-
to get
yeah.
a sample to get
Yeah.
Just get
check.
anything. That's what we did too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah. We went balls out. If you get it. So
Literally.
gotta have fun.
Yeah, you did.
Like I said, you know what? Like I'm all in. When I decide I'm gonna do something, it's like, literally balls to the wall. So, no excuses. Yeah. We'll get to the bottom of this. We'll figure it out. And everything just kept rolling. I think I was back at work in 3-4 days. I had to go on light duties for a couple of days, but like, I just went. I'm very robotic with the things I do, whether it's, hockey, the gym, work. I mean, we have to do something. You just like close everything, put the blinders on and focus. So like, doesn't matter what's happening. If I'm at the fire department, I'm doing that task. If I'm an ambulance, that task. If I'm at the rink training or playing or whatever, it's that task. I'm able to hyper focus on anything I want, and I can just tune out anything else that's happened to me, because the worst things in the world have already happened to me when I was 16. Right. So I'm able to just like eradicate any other thoughts, any other distractions, like literally like nothing can get to me. I just, full on focus and do what we have to do. And we got the outcome we wanted eventually. And
it looks like we might have lost them for a minute. Marissa, are you still there? Oh.
Hello.
Hello. We're having a bad connection. I can see you. We're just waiting for Ashley and Kevin to come back online there, but what a story, hey? Yeah, wow.
Can you see us or hear us?
I can see you and hear you.
Oh.
Yes, I can see you and hear you too. We're just, Ashley and Kevin dropped out for a minute here. But
no, I can see them and hear them.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to turn off my camera and see if that helps. But I'll stay online.
All right. Okay.
Carry on, Marissa.
Thank you for sharing that. So do you mind sharing what the results of the micro TZ were, what they found and concluded with that?
So they did get sperm, and it was like, I feel like the greatest, most humbling and caring moment of our lives, because I couldn't be his support person because I had to be the runner. You could have given me a Formula One car for the day. I had to drive from Toronto with this immature sperm sample in my armpit from downtown Toronto to Mississauga to their lab to drop it off. Yeah. So the runner up to look after this bozo while he was coming out of anesthetic was my mom.
Oh.
And so that was amazing, right?
Balls out.
Balls out.
Balls out.
There was never, ever a greater moment of bonding between son-in-law and mother-in-law. They did great. I'm just joking.
It was fine.
But they did get a sample, and we ended up, I think I went through 2 more egg retrievals here, and I ended up, I think we ended up with no viable embryos after each. And one of them, I think we resulted in a very low number of embryos, none of which I think were viable for transfer. And then the third retrieval here, that's when I started to question my eggs, right? And I started to think, like, were my eggs shit from the very beginning and we just didn't know? Or did they start to turn to shit along the way because we are now taking time, and I'm older too, and I've been exposed to a lot at work too, radiation, long hours, my circadian rhythms being thrown off, being a shift worker, like all of those things you start to call into question.
Yeah.
And so I think that's when we went off to the States, did what we did in the States. And then after all of that, and the reason we went there is because our clinic at the time said there's this physician who's as much a researcher as they are a physician, and they might not be as cookie cutter as we are. And so we went 3 times in the midst of a pandemic, like literally had to write to my chief of whoever to say, can I please travel for this medical procedure? That we then decided there's nothing that we can't do here that we couldn't do in the US. And then that's when we signed up with our third clinic, Create, and met Baratz, and really started to consider sperm donor, which I think that's when we hit a bit of a roadblock for you. That was a really challenging moment in time for Kev. And we were able to get past that. Yeah. Thanks to therapy and wine and perspective.
And, you know, what's funny, it was when we went to Cali the first time, it was a pandemic, and I took vacation to go down to California. And when we got to Cali, and we had been there before, just as like purely as tourists, and we got to Santa Monica, and I was at this market in Santa Monica, and it's like to die for. I love it there. And I got a phone call from a guy at work, one of our chiefs, and he's like, "Oh, would you be interested in canceling your vacation?" And because, you know, the pandemic, I'm like, "Hell no, I'm in California, buddy. I'm not coming home." I didn't care what we were doing there. Like,
not sorry.
I'm like, "Sorry, no, we're staying for this." So, you know, there was some interesting times, and you look back at it, but you know, I come right back around again. I would do everything. Like, I would literally go through steps A to Z, what we went through to get Aria all over again.
But I think what would be important for you to speak to here too is, how did you eventually get there with the whole sperm donor piece?
Well, you just accept it, right? Like I said, and again, that comes back down to like, how bad do you want something? Like, are you willing to go like all in, or are you just like talk? You know, are you just telling yourself, or are you telling other people? You know, I'm like, no, like, I want to have a child. We want to have a family. Okay, what do we have to do? You know, I want to become the next level paramedic. I'm going to do the training. I want to play hockey for that team and compete. I'm going to do whatever I have to do. So it's any facet in your life. It doesn't matter. Just hyper focused 100% and get the job done, and just do what you have to do. Right.
Well, I think what I'm trying to get you to, and you're missing it, is when we were at a therapy session and our therapist said, "You have a dog, right?" And we told the story at the Fertility Matters event. "You have a dog, right?" And we're both like, "Yeah." "And you love your dog." "Of course we love our dog." And we're like, "Where's she going with this?" "You did not give birth to your dog." "No." "Your dog's not genetically related to you." "No, but you love your dog." End of sentence, right? And so I think that was like a sobering moment of, and we were able to sit down, look at some donors, and that is like a whole new world of MLS, the fertility version of MLS, right? I'm the keener, so made up the spreadsheets, didn't put faces, just put criteria, asked Kev, rate these from 1 to 10. And then if you want to go down a rabbit hole further, that's what we'll do. And he was like, "This person sounds like me." And I'm like, okay. You know, and that I'm making very light of a very difficult next step. And I think particularly for males, because it can feel so emasculating to have this one thing that you should be able to do to have your legacy live on. And it's just not working for us. So you know what? We need to change up the recipe. Take a detour, right?
Yeah.
So,
and on that note, I want to ask you, what helped you come to the decision to then pursue an egg donor? Because you had gotten on the sperm donor train. You said, "We're going to do it." And then did you get an egg donor, try with your egg? Sorry, did you get a sperm donor and then try with your eggs? How did that evolution come to be?
Yeah. So really good question. So landed on our sperm donor, and we ended up going with Create. We actually had really good recommendations from several resources for Dr. Baratz. So had to go on a wait list, obviously, for him. I went through 3 back-to-back retrievals. I think it was literally a July, August, September, where I didn't come out of stimming. We just literally
did a trial stim.
I forget what it was called, but they were basically piggybacked onto each other with donor sperm. And a very similar thing happened to what I spoke to before, where, you know, the first 2 retrievals actually yielded some embryos. We ended up with 1. And then my third one, I think he's like, "If you don't have more than 3 viable eggs that we can see pre-retrieval, we're canceling it." And I was like, "Oh my God, I've never had that happen before. I'm an overachiever. What do you mean? Like, this can't happen." They rose to the challenge, but then we had no viable embryos for that third one, right? So decided to do the transfer with my eggs and sperm donor, and then that failed. And Barat's, and that was just before Christmas again. God, the timing of things, right? So Barat's called me, and he just was super compassionate and said, you know, like, are you alone? Are you in a room where you can talk? It didn't work, and you need to take a break. He's like, I am stopping you from yourself, because this is like a bad gambling addiction where you're like, next month is going to be the month. I just need to fork over another 20 grand and we're going to get what we want. How to get the 20 grand is the hard part. So we took a break over the holidays, and he said, you know, in the new year, then you can reach out, and I want to send you some resources for consideration of egg donor. And deep down, I had a feeling it was coming, and I was already at peace with it. I think I was worried that then I was now going to need a surrogate, which there's nothing wrong with. But I think I was just so yearning. I wanted to, especially as a nurse, having gone through those rotations and helping bring littles earthside, I wanted to live that through myself. Yeah. And I think it's just, you're grieving little bits. Pieces are being picked away at you. I'm sure you understand exactly what I'm throwing out there. Absolutely. And it's like, just give me this one thing, right? But I had full expectations of being then told, you actually can't carry, and this is the next step you're going to have to take. So we just kept trying to put one foot in front of the other, trying to follow due course, not get too far ahead of ourselves, put all the chips on the table, and then say, what are we okay with? And what can we not live with at the end of the day? And that kind of called it out for us. So,
and then you went forward.
We did. And
got an egg donor.
I thought that was, you know, sense of relief. This is going to be the easy part. Oh no. Oh no. Again, it's kind of like MLS, but there are certain packages that you can choose from. So the single, the guaranteed plus, we went with the middle. And I think what I struggled with the most was I felt like I was competing and outbidding people for said donor, because the clinic that the agency we went with was lovely, open Monday to Friday, right? Shift workers, right? We don't work that way. So I would literally get to work early, open up my work laptop, screen to see, are there any new donors? Am I missing out on the one? And then you have to put your deposit down. And there was a time where we put our deposit down on a Friday. And I thought, okay, we're good. You hear nothing over the weekend. Monday comes and it's like, oh, no, actually another couple put down their deposit just before you. So you're going to have to, and it's like, oh my God, I think it took us 3-4 months.
That's what I mean when I say, and I come back again, like you just had to become so robotic with it. And you start looking at the whole process. It's literally a science project.
Yeah.
And, you know, working in the medical field and medical background and fire and stuff, it was just like, you just have to just surrender and just be like, okay, I can't control this. Like, we want to do this. These are the steps we got to do. And I just became very like, almost like a sociopath, where I just
don't admit that out loud.
No. But I say jokingly, right?
You did.
Worst things admitted on this.
We're live.
This is what I mean when I say you have to be that focused on the task. There's no excuses. I just want results. I want it done. What do we have to do? Okay, this is where we're at. Auto Trader for kids.
I know.
Realtor.ca for kids. I mean, you just had to play games with yourself and say, no, okay, that looks cool. Oh, wow. 6'4", what a stud. Military background. Triathlete, played pro hockey. I'll take 5 of those. Like, you know, you just had to like start to look at it in different, you know, in a different light.
I think what's hard too for me is, and ever the healthcare provider and ever the nurse is the business side of it, right? And I know people need to make their living at the end of the day, but I think what was a really hard pill for me to swallow was, I'm paying you for a service that's now taken 3 months, and I still haven't found a donor because either their antral follicle count or AMH isn't listed in their donor criteria. And I've picked 3 that don't qualify, but I never would have looked at those 3 had you put that in their profile in the first place, right? And then being told, you know, you didn't get your deposit down on time. Okay, but then what am I paying you for? Right? Like, I want you to now send me donors that haven't been released so that I can get a first kick at the can, because I feel like we're waiting forever. Right? And she's never going to show up. And she showed up, and she's incredibly lovely. So I'm giving away a piece. We actually, of one of the next questions, we actually went with known for both. That was really important to us. Yeah.
And what caused you to make that decision? I mean, obviously just the challenge of finding the right donor. And are you comfortable sharing like how known were they, like within family or
so
the neighbor?
No, my sister offered, but she was too old at the time. So that was super unfortunate because she was right there. And then my mom was like, I know people in their 60s can be a surrogate if that's the next step. Like, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in.
Like, we had a great support network. But I think, so sperm donor from the US, a little bit more challenging, but we ended up finding someone that was known. And I think that was happenstance. That wasn't intentional. Yeah. But with the egg donor, again, the more you know, the more educated and more power you have to choose. I think that became really important to us because I already felt like I was taking something away from a future child that wasn't even born yet, right? Like I was taking away choice from them.
I get that.
And I know others might feel super strongly, and that's okay. I also know there's a lot of research coming out of Europe right now saying that there are huge detrimental effects of not being able to know. There's the Donor Conception Network, who I follow closely and actually purchased our first children's book from so that we could tell Aria her story. And it's literally a choose your own ending. So whether you're a single mom that used sperm donor, or you're a homosexual couple, gay couple that wants to tell your child, we are able to tell the story of, we needed an egg, we needed a sperm. Mommy was able to be your house, right?
That.
So, yeah.
And I to add to that, before you ask your next question, I have never once looked at her and she's mine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Totally. I get that.
He needs the Kleenex, not me.
I love that.
She probably has you in the palm of your hand, of her hand, not of your hand.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna go shoe shopping.
And wrapped around your finger.
Yeah. And so
we're gonna. Oh, go ahead, Marissa.
I just wanted to ask, where are you guys now in your journey? So we know you have Aria, and you're super glad. Where are you now in your journey? What does family look like for you today? Tell us a little bit about that.
I think it's exactly that. It's a big sigh. It's a big question mark. I think we could both go either which way at any point in time, right? It's hard because we're older. Kev told you his age. I don't care. I'm 42. I'll tell you mine. Don't care. Okay. Still younger than Janet Jackson. Like, you know, and there's research coming out too about, I think I read something the other day that women having children over 40 has gone up by like 193%, right? Yeah. Again, knowledge is power, women, just putting that out there. But I think it's how there's days where I turn around and I'm like, how 100%, you know, we've got siblings frozen and ready to go. How do you say no to the very best thing? Now I'm going to get emotional. How do you say no to the very best thing that's ever happened to you in your life? But then the funny joke is we know too much, and all three of those we could try and it could never happen. And if that's the case, then she's the most beautiful thing I think that we were meant to have at the end of the day. Like she is just who was meant to come our way at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So it's a big breath hold is what it is. And she is surrounded. Her cousins absolutely adore her. It's incredible.
She's a baby.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're too young to understand her cousins, but I think it's just like it brings tears to watch how loved she is by them already. Mm-hmm. They give her all the toys.
I get it. Mhm.
Lucky her.
I love
The
it.
most
I
spoiled
love that.
little girl, pampered little girl ever. That's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this has been such a moving, beautiful, emotional episode. We've got about 10 minutes left. We're going to change it up. We're going to do some rapid fire questions. You
Okay.
guys can answer together. You can choose who goes first. Marissa and I will alternate between the questions. So
Okay.
I'll ask the first one.
And we try not to look so that we're giving you honest answers.
Okay, I love it. Okay, who cried first during your first fertility-related appointment?
100%.
Ashley. She's like, yeah, 5 hands in the air.
Okay, I think I
Right
know
under
the
the
answer
bus.
for this one too, but let's
Yeah.
who researched more treatments and options?
Ashley. I love that. I really get the feeling Kev's like the go with the flow, super optimist. I love that. You've got that great energy. Amazing. Okay, I want you to both answer this one separately. What's your go-to comfort food during the hard times? Kev first.
It could be a drink too.
Wine, red wine.
Probably like some sort of chip.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how can you not
Like
answer
a bag
this?
of chips.
Oh yeah.
They're half air anyways, the big bags, right?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
He's a Lay's beefcake.
Oh,
Lazy.
not just one.
Sour cream and onion. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good flavor. How about you?
I would say carbs or cheese, like pasta, pizza,
Oh, yeah.
or just the brick of cheese by itself. That also is completely
Yeah.
acceptable.
Yeah.
Charcuterie. Yes.
Yeah.
Delicious.
I'm
Okay,
getting
one
hungry.
word to describe your partner during this journey that you guys have been through.
Steadfast.
Stubborn.
In a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
I feel like those are like
I like the word
determined.
determined better.
Resilient. There's a whole bunch of words. Resilient, steadfast, like science nerd to the core, like looking at stuff like I said, why don't you just open a clinic and we can make this money back, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just we went
There's
to a
still
pharmacy.
time.
When we're in California, we went to a pharmacy. What was the little town called?
Encino, I think.
Encino, gorgeous little
Oh, yeah.
town, right by Calabasas, where Ray, what's his name, lives. The guy from the show. Anyways,
Kardashians.
yeah,
Yeah.
$4,000 just on the meds. Oh, here's a credit card, 4Gs, American, just for the medications. Oh, now you got to drive them back to the Airbnb in the cooler bag so they don't spoil and you ruin your $4,000 worth of medication. Like just things like that. Like persistence, resilience, like all the above. Like I'm so proud of her. And, a lot of you guys have gone through that plus more. Again, I never lose sight of it because now we've seen and spoken to other folks in the same kind of situation or worse. So people know, and would I spend the $4,000 again? 100%, right? It's just, it is what it is. You just got to do it. So,
Well, all of those words really say strength to me for you guys. So I think that's definitely an underlying theme for your whole family building journey. Very strong. Okay, what show did you binge together when you needed a distraction?
Ooh. Game of Thrones?
Yeah, we watched a lot of shows when we were in California.
Shameless is another good one too.
And we watched when we were in California, we watched Peaky Blinders.
Yes.
And we watched a lot of the F1 show.
The Drive to Survive.
The Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because a lot of it was during the pandemic too.
That's
right?
motivational.
Right?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's good motivational.
Incredible series.
Totally.
So, a lot of the times, like 2 of the 3 times we were in California was during the pandemic. So it was like you can walk around, it's beautiful, but then
then what?
Things were shut down,
Yeah.
certain things are open. So we spent a lot of time at the house in Cali and watched a lot of tube and just relaxed and ate good food. And well, I drank some wine because someone couldn't drink wine, so I drank all the California wine. But yeah, it was, like I said, we turned it into a fun experience, as much fun as you could have.
As much as you could have, yeah.
But it was never like, I honestly can say, like, I don't think one time we were out there, we're ever like completely bummed out about it because it was like, okay, we're going to the clinic in the morning and then we're going to the beach in the afternoon or we're going for a drive down the
I will
coast.
stop you there because we were there when, how quickly we forget, hey? We were there when the pandemic first started, like literally landed, world ending. And, you know, the plan was to do a retrieval and transfer and then go home. And then we're faced with a really challenging decision of, is this embryo safest with me, right? Or is it going to be safe in another country in a land far, far away? Like I almost felt like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, right? So, you know, definitely more optimistic than me, but it just, one foot in front of the other, literally.
One day at a time.
Okay, the last one. The best and the worst piece of advice you have gotten throughout your journey, or like the best and worst comment or piece of advice, or
the worst for me was always the just you waits or the you can have my kid, and I was like, bitch, all I've done is wait. Like,
yes, I'll take them. Be careful, I'm that crazy bitch.
I'll kidnap your kid tomorrow.
The best thing, I think honestly came from Kev for me because it resonates to this day. And he would keep saying to me, you know, I would freak out about the finances and we just kept rolling one into the next, right? Like we barely gave ourselves breathing room to grieve. I feel like I'm grieving in postpartum, right? Of all the things. Because I've just caught my breath and now she's my exhale. But one of the best things he said to me was, you can always make more money. You can't get back your time. And I think for me, that was like a huge light bulb moment. And it helped me to keep going when I just wanted to lie down on the floor.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah.
Kev?
It was probably like, you know, when are you guys having kids? When are you having kids? When are you having kids? Can I swear in here?
Gross.
I've done it.
Yeah, please.
I've outed myself already.
Some people I would turn that like seriously, like, and it would happen. I don't know, for some reason it was happening like a lot for like months at a time. And I'd be like, I have 3 jobs and I play hockey and I do that. And then my wife is so busy and I'm like, we fucking hate kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, we fucking hate, like I said, I like my little cousins, like get all these kids away from me. And I would say jokingly, obviously, but it was getting annoying after a while. And then family, when are you having kids? When are you having kids? When are you having kids? I'm like, you know what? Like I wanted to come out and just say like, we're not into that lifestyle. Like we don't want kids. But then, you know, it was just, okay, we're dealing with that. That's probably one of the only little nuances I had. And I'm like, too busy for kids, you know? And then, you know, the most positive thing, I don't know, to be honest, it was probably just our own inspiration to keep going, right? Because like, who else is going to really inspire you unless it's someone who's been through the same thing? And to be honest, like before we met some of you guys at the, you know, the Toronto fertility thing, I hadn't really heard or talked to a lot of people in the same situation. So it was just our own resilience and going on, you know, other experiences that I've had in life that were like way worse than what I was dealing with. Right. Mm-hmm. So and I was like, well, I've been through this as a 16-year-old. I've been through that as a firefighter. I've seen this as a paramedic. I've delivered like a 14-month-old out of a toilet, like, you know, picked up a 14-month-old kid out of a toilet. Like I've done all these horrible, shitty things and all these bad things happen to people. I'm like, I just got to keep going. So that was the one thing I think it was our own resilience and our own, like, fortitude just to keep pushing and not give up and never quit and just get it done.
Yeah.
So good job.
Yeah. And some of the greatest people who will love you the most, you still haven't met yet until they become your little ever after. So I
love that.
Yeah.
Okay, to wrap it up, we're going to ask one last question, and we love asking this question on the podcast and on the lives, especially to folks who've been on a journey. So if you could go back to the first day of this journey and tell yourself something, what would you say? We'll get from both of you, and then we'll wrap it.
That's a good question.
Oh, this is going to make me cry. I would say that it's going to turn out even greater than you ever could have imagined.
Yeah.
And I imagined it for a very long time. So
Yes, you do. And every little embryo that gets transferred, you imagine that one, and you imagine, and you imagine. And
Who are
that's
you?
the hope. That's the
Who
hope.
are you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I don't know. I'm being very sincere when I say that. I don't know, because I would just really go with the flow and just, it was just like, all right, got to do this. Okay. All right. That didn't work. Good. That didn't work. Okay. Just keep pushing, right? Like, not
So
everything's
I think
going to
that's
work
the
out.
answer.
You
Just
know, not,
go with
like,
the flow.
Yeah, because not everything is going to work out.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
okay, are you taking every step you can to, evolve? Are you taking every step
Yeah.
to remediate the situation? Okay, this is going to cost this much. Okay, well, we had like I said, we had some great support from family. Okay, we have to work a little bit more because we do for this. We're going to be off work for 10 days. Okay, I need to go. I got to work so many days this month because I want to cover off bills or whatever we're doing. Ash would put in extra work at work or do, some stuff on the side. She does. And it was always compromising in so many ways to get the job done. Right. So that's probably it. Just
Go with the flow. I like it, Kevin.
Get it done and
Yeah.
just full steam ahead, full throttle.
Get her
all the
done.
time.
That's great
Get it
advice,
done,
though.
yeah.
Yeah.
LF,
That's great
LFG.
advice.
Yeah, LFG, let's fucking go. Right?
Yeah.
Like, no excuses, just results. And
I love it. No
we got a result.
excuses.
Yeah.
Like, we have
Yes.
results. She's downstairs. She
persevere.
probably wants booby milk right now.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love that. Aw.
Well,
So,
Ashley,
yeah.
Kevin, thank you so much for being here and sharing openly with us tonight. Your story is very powerful, and you guys have been super honest and super vulnerable and raw. And we know it's going to resonate with so many people, especially Kevin's story, because you just don't hear too much about male factor infertility. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to let us speak and put it
All
out
good.
there. And
all good.
Yeah. And to everybody watching tonight or later after you're catching this episode, thanks for tuning in. Please follow us on Instagram at OasisFSN or at fertility__village. And tune in next week. Next week we're diving into the month of July, where we're going to be talking about all things self-care. So don't miss it. We've got some amazing guests coming on to talk about some great topics. So join us again next Wednesday night, 8 p.m. live on Fertility Village. We can't wait to see you wherever you are today. You're not alone. Find people who get it. Connect with those who are going through it, and find some people on this journey who you can go on it with. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks for joining again, Ash and Kevin. So great to have you.
keep
Take
cool.
care.
Thanks for having us.
You too.
See you later.